Alright guys, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. Day number 2 as we find out now who advances on to the brackets. It's going to be between San and MVP after we saw MVP in what I consider to be a bit of a surprise defeating Curious.
MVP, the superstar, the one and only. Tarstone actually flew in to provide MVP with any kind of support he wants. Bring him sandwiches, bring him drinks. So he's going to have that going for him.
That's an expensive trip to help out MVP.
Man, if you love someone as much as Tarstone loves MVP, there's no limit, you know?
I guess so. Love finds a way, my friend. Love finds a way. Well, there you go. Tarstone's here giving MVP sandwiches and now making sure he's going to be okay to play against San. Now, San looked maybe a little bit dejected at the fact that he's going to have to play against MVP. I think he would have rather played Curious, to be honest with you.
It's hard to say. He sat there very quietly watching MVP beating Curious, probably wishing that Curious would win. Yesterday, he confessed to me that he would love to play as many Zergs as possible.
Yeah.
Before he knew what group he was going to be in, he just told me, I want to be in a group with at least 2 Zergs. Then I'd be happy. So it's no secret. Pros versus Terran, probably his worst matchup. And going against MVP here, he's going to have a very tough time ahead of himself if he wants to be able to advance on to after tomorrow's matches, the final day. But on the other hand, I have to say, as much as San says that his versus Terran is his weakest matchup, he had some very good games before in some of the tournaments that he played. Yeah. Be it the Aces Rogue in Finland, where I think, was it Happy that he beats very convincingly? Also in New York, he had some pretty decent games versus Terran. He beat Hack. It was, I think, quite convincingly as well. Playing very well. I remember some of the games, one of them on Frost in particular. I remember that game? Where he was like going for Storm, then later at the Colossus, hit all the right timings with Templars, pressured, forced his opponent to leave the command center, pulled back for some time. It just felt like he had a very good read in the game about everything that was happening. So he might not be as good as he is versus Zerg versus Terran, but I do think he's pretty good in the matchup anyway.
And, I mean, if we go to the other side of the spectrum for MVP, we've actually seen him play a few PVTs as of late in terms of, well, it's purely been from WCS Europe. And there, despite having some lag issues from playing from Korea and losing to Showtime twice in the round of 32, he still hasn't really had the best TVPs as of late. So, but we haven't seen him play in the past couple of months. It's been like a good 2 months since he played. He beat Adamonius, I believe it's pronounced, from Israel.
Probably butchered that, but it's okay.
Yeah. Like in Challenger, but that's about it. We haven't seen much else from him in this matchup, so it'll be curious to see what he's actually going to be able to bring to the table against Sam.
I mean, usually MVP, he goes for very standard play versus Protoss. He drops here and there. He just his overall style is to be solid and make whatever he goes for work, which usually is pretty much the closest you can get to the most standard play you would ever see from anybody. Then again, we've seen him sometimes in very important games too, go for the 2 racks, go for the risky builds. Now, does he think he needs to use one of these builds to take out San here? I'm not sure.
We'll have to see. First map's going to be Belshir Vestige here to see who advances on first in Group A to that bracket stage coming up later on at the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. And either MVP or San will be there. So that's a pretty cool name to have in the bracket. Both of these players arguably could quite easily attain that, even if they fall down to the lower positions in this group. But spawning up to the top left-hand corner as our red Protoss representing Yui Flash Wolves, he is San. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Terran, able to vanquish Curious in the previous series, representing IEM. He is MVP.
Looking at these 2 players, I wouldn't be surprised if either of them, maybe even both of them, made it to the finals of this tournament, or even won. MVP, he's already won a ton of tournaments. San, I've been saying it. This guy, he has to win the tournaments sometime soon, because he's just playing so well. He's definitely going to be winning a tournament soon. And I know usually it's Arsosis who says this and then it doesn't happen, but I'm telling you, this guy, he's bound to win a tournament.
Yeah, I think he certainly could do. He certainly has the he certainly has all the building blocks there to be able to do it. Unfortunately for him, Asus ROG, he did end up falling to Tasia pretty brutally in the final. But let's be honest, a lot of people fall to Tasia. He's a pretty good player and is able to just constantly ride that wave of absolute terror that he has in terms of dealing with everybody. So, going up against MVP, I think this is much more of an even match here for San going up against... I would even put San as the favorite against MVP, considering MVP's past TVPs that we've seen of him. But we'll have to see how it unfolds.
All right. San, he's been very fond of Oracles recently, even before the patch. I think he knew about the change, so he started practicing before the patch even came out with Oracle, knowing that they will get buffed. And I have to say, every time I see San open 2 gas, I have to wonder how huge of a chance is there that he's going to open with an Oracle, and I think there is a good chance that we might see it.
Well, look at the direction of the probe, but it has been spotted by the SCV just for briefly there.
Yeah.
But the probe is going in a very interesting direction indeed. So this could quite easily be a proxy, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a very quick proxy here. He's not mining from his second gas just yet. Okay, he's going to fix that quite quickly here. And MVP, having seen the probe move out and headed towards the direction it was headed toward. Now he sees that the probe hasn't scouted him. He has to know something's up. So now San, does he still go for this, knowing that this could happen? I mean, he has to know there is a huge chance that MVP will see this and then be able to counter it.
But for
and
now...
look, he's sending an SCV.
Yeah, definitely. He knew something was up. I mean, just with the way in which it was moving at the very beginning was a little bit off, a little bit weird. And so he does end up seeing that, and now... San,
oh, that was a little bit too early. If he had come 2 seconds later, the Stargate would have been started. But now San is like, well, you can see me, so I'm not going to make anything there. He's going to head on home and probably start either a Stargate or a Twilight back at home. Or maybe, oh, actually, he might go into a Nexus. He's pulled probes off the gas here. No third pylon was made just yet, so I do think okay, he gets it now. This SCV scouting has done so much already. This could have been a completely different game if this SCV had not spotted the original probe.
So he is going to throw the Stargate down in his main base.
I think he had to.
Yeah, this is it's a little bit awkward here for San. It's kind of like, you know, he's quite with his pants down as MVP, and now MVP is just going to ride that along. He's going to throw down those double gases. He's already got his second command center down, and adding on the 2 barracks as well. So anything that comes out of this Stargate even is going to be a bit delayed in comparison to where it originally was, and then there's going to be a lot of Marines out to deal with it.
Oh, there's still an SCV on the expansion of San taking the information that there's no Nexus thrown down yet. So I think MVP should know. Right now, he's probably thinking he's still going for Stargates. He's guilty until proven innocent in that case. That's how you think about it. Yeah. And he's probably going to keep his Marines in his main ready to defend against an Oracle at any time. And I really like MVP scouting and position. Like I said, if MVP had not spotted that probe early on, this is a completely different game we see here. The Stargate is proxied, MVP can get surprised and lose a ton of SCVs.
And having
he's going to see it.
Well, yeah, he is. That's very, very nicely done here by MVP indeed. But you're right. I mean, the fact that he went barracks and then command center in the high ground, like, he would have had so little Marines out if that Stargate had been proxied. So it could have been difficult. San, for now, he hasn't really gone into his opponent's main, so he doesn't actually know fully what's going on, but he does see the lack of natural expansion. Yeah. So for now, he's sitting, he's okay.
And San's transition behind this, there's a few possibilities. Could go into Twilight or Robo. I think both of those options would be really good. Yesterday we saw some crazy play from Avenge with some Void Race as well. I highly doubt San is going to try something like that. But no, he does see that there's an expansion and a ton of Marines. He knows exactly where he's at in the game. He knows that his opponent is going to be getting a ton of Marines from these barracks. He knows around when Steam Pack will finish. And I think he can kind of guess that there was no Medivac production started, although he didn't get a clean look inside of the main of MVP, at least in the back. Oh, he could get that SCV build in the factory here. Would definitely help. And he goes for a forge, I guess, because he maybe doesn't know whether or not there is a factory, something like a factory out on the map, or he wants to start some upgrades very, very quickly in this game. And since he goes for the Twilight, I think he's going to want to go for Charge Lot and Templar.
I think that's a pretty cool style to go for here for Sam. We've seen him use it quite a bit, actually, and it's worked to great effect for him. But MVP, you know, his production was already flying. He's got a lot of Marines out.
And San is actually planning on being aggressive here. He's warping in sentries and zealots across the map. He's up to 3 sentries now.
Can this really work, though?
I think he hopes that he's trying to lure the Marines in the main so he can force field down the ramp and kill whatever's down there. But there's already enough Marines down there to deal with this.
That is a lot of Marines indeed. If he did force field on the ramp, though, well, actually, there's so many Marines out even in the main as well. 21 Marines in total.
With the next reinforcements, there's going to be enough with the Guardian Shield to take on these Marines, possibly kill them and kill the SCVs as well. And the Oracle is just going to help on with this.
Yeah, if he keeps that Oracle with them and just two-shot some of those Marines as well, he might be able to kill off quite a lot of them. It has to be careful though, those Marines are coming down from the reinforcements on the ramp. He's going to couple things all together, and I don't think that army can take it just yet.
And Steam is about to finish. 2 seconds away from finishing. San has to be very careful. He could actually get chased and lose everything here.
Yeah,
I'm surprised MVP doesn't go for it, but I guess, look, Medivac production is about to start. Why would MVP risk it? As soon as he gets Medivacs here in this game, he's going to be in such a strong position. Charge didn't even start this game.
No need to kind of go out there and lose a lot of these units, and he does spot the fact that, well, he's keeping an eye on everything.
You know what San's doing? He wants to rush to Storm.
Yeah.
You see how quick he threw down the Templar Archives? So he's not researching Charge for now. He wants to basically start Storm as soon as possible and get it up so that he can defend against any amount of Marines that's being thrown at him.
I'm very surprised that Sam was able to find some room in there, but again, the Revelation gave him the opportunity to know exactly where those Marines were at any given point in time, and then from that point on, he did get a few kills. So not too bad, but there's the High Templars on the way, saving all of the gas. As you rightly mentioned, as you know, there was no charge on the way for a while, so those High Templars came out very quick.
Yeah, actually, he changed his mind. I think maybe he realized that it would be too long for him to reach Storm before he would get attacked. So now he's already made an Archon, and he's getting Charge, and I don't think he's going to be researching Storm anytime soon. He's just going to get as many Zealots and Archons as he can to be able to defend against that huge attack, that huge timing that MVP is going for, in which he has so many Marines. 35 Marines right now out on map, 3 Medivacs. Against 8 Zealots, 1 Archon, and 3 Sentries. I mean, I know Charge loss and Archons are good, but in this case, it's actually Archon, just 1.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You have to be very, very careful. Does not want to lose the Oracle either. I think he just wants to try and keep these units in vision for as long as possible, maybe get Revelation on them later on so he can keep an eye on what's going on. Throws down the scan, sees how big that army is. Only 2 Archons in the army. I mean, it's a lot of power if the Zealots are going to be able to tank it, but can they? Charge finishes just before this fight.
Oh, that was so close. Almost flew right inside of the Marines.
He has to have been paying attention to it, right, though, because he wanted the Revelation on this army to keep an eye on wherever it was going to go.
I'm really surprised MVP didn't go for timing, but I guess for us, it does look obvious what San has, what he's going for, and where MVP was. And he did have a nice army leads, army supply leads, which now San is doing a good job of catching up, but now going for Storm, the more MVP waits, the harder it's going to be for him to do anything, because as soon as Storm enters the field here and finally is upgraded in this game, it's going to be a different story if he doesn't have Ghost. And he's so Marine heavy. Yeah, so Marine heavy. You have to wonder how well is he going to do against Templars.
He's only just recently started mixing in like 1 or 2 Marauders, so that has been very, very recent indeed. So it's exclusively Marines up until that one. Storm is about to finish as well, making it hard here for MVP to do much of anything, since San is still on 2 bases, so even if MVP wanted to drop here and there, he can't, because there might be a High Templar there to feed back a big, big threat to him.
And I really like how San has made a pylon on the left-hand side of the map, left a Zealot on the right-hand side, left a probe again on the bottom left-hand side. And I think San, he wants to go for a 2-base timing with Templars that have Storm, that just finished, and do as much damage as he can. Not necessarily kill his opponent, but just basically use these Storms before they become more useless in this game. And there is Ghost, but nice pickup by MVP. This is going to trigger a counter-attack.
He warped in a High Templar as soon as he saw that huge load up.
Another one.
Yeah, he does need another one because he doesn't have enough energy for all of those. And how many of the feedbacks will he be able to land? He lands 1 straight away, killing off that medevac full of Marines, but he didn't have extra. Meanwhile, going to try and barrel straight up this ramp here, and he's kind of caught himself off. Those force fields, oh my god, perfect usage of force fields and storms to kill off so many Marines, but he's taking a lot of damage back at home, actually forcing the lift up there away from the photon overcharge to do some damage in the natural, but there was a second photon overcharge as well, and MVP, he has to deal with the wolves at his door because those Archons are doing a lot.
And San is doing a great job defending back at home. He used the photon overcharge on both bases right on time. He had some Templars ready to feed back. He's already defended quite well back at home. He's trying to inflict as much damage as he can in MVP's base now. The important thing here is he needs to kill as many walkers as possible, and he's doing quite a good job of that. Those Archons, man, they go They go unpunished.
Another storm goes down, killing off even more workers. 43 have gone down so far. MVP trying to find some damage where he can, trying to kill off as many as possible. And meanwhile, there's even the Oracle down to the bottom left that could actually do some damage to that third base as well. So lots here for San. Dark Shrine on the way as well. MVP's economy is completely crippled. He's down to 6 workers. How can you deal with all of this and then a Dark Shrine? It's just too much.
Yeah, the Dark Shrine was spotted by one of the medivacs here, but San, he hasn't lost any walkers, I think. He's lost 6 walkers in total this game, whereas he's killed 57, and GG, I mean...
GG, man. GG.
MVP not gonna try to do another Tefl comeback here in this game.
Force Fields and Storm, that's pretty much all MVP needs to take away from that game. That was a absolutely smashing combination, and San very happy with himself there. Considering the start of that game, which was a bit rough for him, he played out of it well.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising. I mean, at first I really thought this was going to be good for MVP, but then San handled that so well at the ramp and back at home. Especially like those medivacs, it was very fortunate for him. Like one of those medivacs died instantly, it was filled with units. That's like a dream scenario, it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
MVP, he had not been fighting. He had not been steaming. He wasn't steaming like ever since there was no fights, and you don't really steam out of nowhere for no reason. So his medivacs, they were full on energy. They never had to heal the whole game. So because they were full on energy, one feedback was able to kill the first one, and that was just so important. Then from there, the photon overcharge was good enough. San was patient. I know a lot of Protosses that would have sent units in a straight line to die against those bioforces. And I'm not just talking about myself.
No.
But yeah, the offense was also, I cannot believe he made this work so well offensively with the force fields and the storms. I think it's really easy to mess that up too. And
yeah.
Again, I'm not only just talking about myself.
Okay, well, I think that, you know, I'm not 100% sure if San actually had like a little bit extra gas to maybe add on 1 or 2 more High Templars at home, but if he'd have done that, that would have been so much more one-sided if he'd have had an extra 2 feedback, because the medevac that he got, yes, it was full energy, that one died off, but there was 2 behind it as well with the full energy, as you rightly pointed out. So.
But then again, MVP knew that there could not be that many Templars, because he saw the entire army moving out on the map.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the correct reaction that he had here. He was on 3 bases already. He's like, well, if you're going to attack me, I can just trade with medivacs and hold up my ramp. The problem is he didn't have a wall up the ramp.
Yeah.
If he had had a huge wall with 2 depots, 1 bunker, this would have been a completely different story here. But because he did not, San got in there, and I mean, his force fields and storms were great. MVP, it looked like he wasn't really looking back at home in his base. The way he should have been looking at it, he wasn't setting up any kind of good concave to be able to defend against what San was throwing at him. And I really feel like this is one of the situations where, as well as it went for San, it could have gone horribly wrong as well.
Yeah, it could have. There's always that moment where you're going up a ramp with a lot of Zealots that, you know, maybe they can get choked up. And if you do throw down force fields and the Zealots get choked up even more, then they're not doing any damage whatsoever. But obviously Storm compensated a hell of a lot for that and was able to do a lot of damage there to MVP. So game number 2 is going to be on Whirlwind here. San is 1 game away from advancing on to the finals bracket. But again, after the shaky start he had there, and then the transition that we saw, that was very, very impressive. So it's going to be interesting to see here if MVP can bring it back. It's a big map for him.
Yeah, I think on this map, MVP is definitely going to be happy to expand and start dropping all over the place. It's very strong. I mean, we've talked about this from time to time. One of the best moves that you can do on this map is just basically play standard, put your entire army in front of the Protoss third base, and then you just pick up 4 medivacs, you fill them up, and you drop into the main of your opponent. A lot of the time, he's not going to have enough to defend against 4 medivacs.
Yeah.
Now, if those medivacs have full energy and they get feedback, then it's going to be another story, obviously.
Maybe bye-bye for medivacs and all of those that reside inside. As we have now spawning up to the top left-hand corner, Red Protoss. Currently 1 game up, representing Yoi Flash Wolves. It is San. And spawning down to the bottom left, we have our incredible miracle representative. He is MVP. And
it's Yoi Flash Wolves or Yo Flash Wolves?
I say Yoi because it's got an E at the end.
You think it's cuter?
Yoi! I guess. But it's actually weird to think that MVP is now unofficially a Kesper player, right? It's kind of strange to think about. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I mean, it's just weird. Like, 'cause they were always on ESF, and it's like, but now he's a Casper player. It's kind of weird. Anyway.
Thanks, James.
No problem. Dropping knowledge bombs everywhere.
Okay. Sen, on this map, I think a good thing he could do would be to go for a very greedy build, because especially from MVP, I mean, almost every single time here you're going to expect a command center first on this map. He's very fond of his command center first, not just versus Zerg, also versus Protoss, if the map invites for it. But no, he goes for a gateway on 13, late 13, I think. So maybe some kind of quick Nexus build here out of Sen. Let's see where he rallies his Nexus, if he goes for a gas or not.
It's like a compensation, right? Of like, well, I don't know if he is going to go command center first, so I'll maybe just get a little bit of a later gateway and be okay, but it will still keep me in good economic stead against the command center first if it does happen.
Okay, so it's going to be just basically gateway, 13, 14, gas, and then Nexus, and then from there you just basically play standard. You're going to have your tech not as late as if you would go for a very quick Nexus and then gateway. So Sen mixing it up pretty well here. He's not going full greedy in this game. He's even gonna go for a Scouts. He's actually really respecting MVP here, thinking maybe there's something he would like to see. The more information you can get, the better, obviously, at this point. Sen is up by 1 game. He plays very well if he knows what his opponent's doing, so does not want to get surprised here.
Should be all right for him here as MVP, just finishing up those 2 barracks in a little bit to keep him well defended. And San on the scout out, trying to find where his opponent is. Unfortunately, may end up finding him as last, considering the current route he's on. But again, for San, there's not really a whole lot he can pressure with right now, unless he goes for something absolutely crazy.
I have to say, in the previous game, it really looked kind of bad for San in the start, the way he was scouted and all that. But at least, like I said, he didn't start the Stargate. And then he salvaged the situation very well, I would say. He didn't commit with his Oracle. He kind of kept his opponent hostage in his base for some time, and then from there, he got enough units to be able to defend against the Marines, or so we think, and so MVP thought as well, because he did not attack. I really think that he had a serious shot at doing a lot of damage if he had attacked, but he did not. So in this game, if San's able to reach basically his comfort zone, like he was able to in the previous game, I think he's definitely going to be the favorite to take it. It's up for MVP to make something happen, and I mean, with those positions, we could be seeing a lot of drops doing damage, or MVP trying to make something happen even more so than in previous game here.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of room for him to on a map like this.
Oh, the SCV! He's going to get into the main!
Oh, very nicely done.
And then he gets taken out by the Stalker.
So he throws down the robo uncontested, doesn't really get a chance at all to see that.
You have a very funny giggle, James.
What? Do I? Okay, don't make me laugh. Okay, so what do we have going on? We have Warp Gate on the way, and tonight, well, that probe, I mean, it pretty much got intel. I mean, there's a bunker there.
It didn't spot the command center, so I guess, well, he can kind of guess it is there, and he's just going to go there and confirm with his mothership core that it is indeed there, because if it's not, he needs to start preparing some defense against some kind of Medivac drop, be it with Widow Mines or not. So he gets the Forge as well. This is the most standard Protoss versus Terran play that you can see right now, with the Forge, the extra Robo, then you either take into Colossus or Templar Archive. Usually, if you get the Robo this early, you go into Colossus at first, and then you add 2 extra gateways after making your Robo base, getting the Observer very quickly. This is very, very safe play. This is basically the equivalent of going for double gate, 1 Robo, and then expansion in Wings of Liberty versus Terrans at the time where there was 1-1-1 really scaring us and owning us.
Yeah. And now we don't see that.
Puma was the best player in the world.
He was. That's all he ever did. And then he went up against the Zerg and it was like, oh. But anyway, Observer is on the way here for San, so he can keep an eye completely on what's going on in his opponent's main, and then he does have the option to transition on from there. But generally, you see the actual transitions going before the Observer even gets over there anyway. I mean, we already have the Twilight Council going down, as is to the point, as we also have the armor as well. Just be able to buffer against this bio army that's going to be coming out for MVP.
I think San, it really feels like he's a lot more confident playing with the Twilight Council and then going to Templar Archives very quickly rather than playing Colossus. I don't think I've ever seen him play Colossus at first versus Terran. He seems to be very confident with Templars, and I mean, he's successful so far with it in this series and in some of the games that I've seen of him before as well.
Good spot there. Really good spot, killing off that first Observer.
I'm not sure it's worth it to do this if you don't have a 3rd command center.
You think? You think you'd rather be dropping the mules?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been the trend for Terrans not to use too much scans anymore. They just drop down mules, they get far ahead on the economy and so on, the army supply, and then from there, in the mid-game, they use their army supply lead that they have to do damage. It's more important than basically killing an observer at this point, I feel.
It's actually an interesting point you raised, because considering what that observer had already seen at the scan position, it had seen everything anyway, right? So what are you really hiding at that point?
The thing is, if you scan one, then you might as well try and get all of them. Like if you're trying to deny the information completely, it means you want to hide something or be aggressive, and you don't want to, your opponents, you have vision. Sadly for MVP in this game, San wants to go for Templar, so he doesn't need to use his Robo for Colossus, so he can make as many observers as he wants. Yeah. He's already up to 2, and he's getting a 3rd one right now.
That's an interesting point, though, because if he starts if observers keep coming in and he keeps killing them off, then he knows that the Robo is being tied up by just observers, so it must be something else that he's transitioning on to, right?
Yeah.
Like Templar Archives.
It's MVP. He already knows that without seeing the observers.
Oh, okay.
No, kidding. You have a very good point here.
Well, that Templar Archives is indeed on the way. And what is that up in the top right-hand corner? It's a pylon.
Yeah, but look at what San's doing. Oh, this is going to be spotted. The War Prism. The Marine takes the middle watchtower and spots the War Prism. This is huge. This is not supposed to happen. San wanted this to be a surprise. And look, MVP is placing units in his main already. He knows that this is going to come. He might even make a turret there.
And the amazing thing is, we even saw San going for Storm Drops in PvP yesterday. So, I mean, we could easily see that happen here as well. I mean, he doesn't have Storm out just yet, but it's always been a San special that has stuck around from the start of time. So we have a few Vikings on the way as well. Not only to deal with
the War Prism.
Ooh, has to be careful.
Dropped in the 3rd. He could actually get a cancel on that command center if he did.
Yeah, he could. And there's Storm now on the way as well.
And MVP does not want to make the same mistake as in the previous game. He wants to pressure here, but he's hesitant. He's very hesitant. He kind of looks like me playing Pros versus Terran. I don't know when to attack. And MVP right now is no different. I really think he could go for a bit of an attack here, start to stutter step a little bit, force some force fields, pick up and leave.
Well, he's just sat around here.
Is he going to get a cancel on that command center? This will be huge.
Well, the weird thing about it is MVP's army positioning, it's like slowly denying San's 3rd, but, well, those 3 zealots did get pushed away, so his 3rd's on the way.
I had not pictured that. MVP picked up units and dropped them in the 3rd base and defended it. That was really nicely done here.
Yeah. But meanwhile, San's going to try and push his opponent away from the 3rd base so he can establish that as well, unless he was to go with this. Wait, how many probes is he on? He's on 54, so it would be a little bit weird for him to not actually go for that 3rd, and there it goes down.
MVP is adding extra barracks as well now. He's going to be getting an armory in the 2nd engineering bay. I wouldn't be surprised if a Ghost Academy followed this up quite quickly as well. Then again, we've seen Terrans keep Ghosts, but MVP, he's the standard guy that we know and we love and cherish, so I wouldn't be surprised if he plays it a little bit more standard, gets his Ghost Academy not necessarily very quickly, but gets it at some point at least and tries to get some Ghost. And San is proxying even more pylons in the bottom right-hand side. I think he wants to go for more drop with the Medivac, but there is some Vikings in position to maybe try and deny that, and I don't know how successful this will be.
Yeah, High Templar's already loaded up here, but the 3rd base is not really populated by SCVs at all, so it won't be able to do too much against that. But the High Templar stays in the Warp Prism. Where is he actually going to be able to use this? He realizes it's too dangerous, too risky. Oh, but he's going to lose it anyway. And drops the Storm anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and this is pretty bad here. This is just throwing away units, not killing anything, because even if you can tell yourself he damaged those units, not really. They're going to be held by Medivacs before the next engagement begins. So this was essentially throwing away a lot of units and not doing any damage here.
Yeah, needs to make sure that...
get caught. Great game sense here by MVP. He knows that there's going to be proxy pylons there, possibly some units. He moves down there and gets rid of them.
Yeah, killing that off. Where the Warp Prism enters from, there can be proxy pylons to actually warp in and make that transition for the Warp Prism a little bit quicker. And now the Ghosts are on the way here for MVP. So his army is becoming fully rounded against what we're seeing from San. Drops a scan, sees High Templars in defensive positions as well, but he's got to know that there's going to be some with the bulk of the army in the middle of the map if he's able to spot that.
And San going for the ground armor level 3 here. I really like that. Going for Colossus as well is good. I would have liked to see maybe a 2nd Robo. And one very important thing he's going to have to do, he's already got a lot of Zealots, some Templars, some Archon. He's going to have to start building up his Stalker count and get Blink as well to help protect these Colossi from the Vikings. He's not there just yet. He needs to start his Colossus production before all that. But San, he's doing a great job of spreading his units out across the map. Look at how many observers he has on the left-hand side of the map. He's got pylons on the bottom right-hand side. He's got a Warp Prism now in position to try and drop a little bit more. I love the way he's playing on Whirlwind here. I really thought that MVP on this map was going to be able to drop, was going to be able to do damage, but so far, San, with his positioning, has been able to completely deny that.
But meanwhile, whilst MVP hasn't got the drops down and realized that he wasn't able to get in, he's been flying forwards with his macro. So he's almost maxed out right now against San's 164 supply because he's trying to mix in those alternate techs to make his army that much more well-rounded, as we already see for MVP. So he's only got 2 Vikings, though.
Yeah,
only 2.
But I mean...
Not many Colossi, though.
One. One more on the way. I'm surprised there's still no second Robo. San is adding extra gateways at first. He's getting some cannons everywhere. He's got Templars everywhere. And MVP is gearing up for a big attack here. Like I said, he's got the Ghost that he needs now to deal with these Templars. Nice snipe on one of those. And look, he's sending units a little bit everywhere on the right-hand side now to try and pick off these Templars. He's going to steam in there.
Warp Prism down to the bottom left, just got dropped a Storm on some of those SCVs. At the same time, though, we have Storm on some of those Marauders. They did split themselves off forwards to try and snipe out those High Templars.
Oh, the Ghosts are behind.
Uh-oh. He can actually get that Nexus and run away if he's careful about it. Yes, he does get it. Needs to EMP a lot of that. Gets some of them. Some of the Archons actually get hit as well. And this army for MVP is absolutely furious against San.
Furious, fast and furious. I think that's the right way to describe this army. Yeah. It's steamed in there. MVP, he played this perfectly. Macro-wise, positioning, he scanned, he saw the army was out of position just for 1 second. He steamed in there, sniped the Nexus. He had his Ghost ready for the EMPs.
And San is even supply block going into this fight, so he has to be careful about this. His army is not going to get any bigger here, and he's just losing things left and right. The Mothership Core's already gone down. Double time warp slowing it all down, but it doesn't matter. There's no Zealots to buffer. GG, game number 2 goes to MVP. 1-1 we have, and MVP isn't going down without a fight, my friend.
Yeah, that was very impressive. The way he played this, like I said, everything he did just now is actually really hard to do. Like, you need to make sure there's no Templars flanking from any sides, and God knows San was trying to get some good Templars in position. But I would say San's problem here, he was playing a little bit too passively. So that means if MVP would have tried to drop a little bit more, would have tried to be super aggressive, it would have been good for San because he was ready for that. But MVP, he recognized it, he didn't drop, and he went for the huge attack he had to go to before San got to his critical mass.
It was good.
Before he had too many Colossi. Yeah. And it just worked out in the end. He had a supply lead, he exploited it, he microed his Ghost very, very well. And just the army placement, I cannot stress how important this is. How well he took that huge fight on the third base as well. Only one Storm really hits. He was able to EMP the entire army, and San got punished for his mispositioning, I guess.
Yeah, that's the big highlight, really, of that game number 2. The fact that in those engagements, where were the Storms? They just weren't existent. They didn't do what they needed to do for San. Now going on to game number 3, we have Derelict Watcher. See who is going to take this down to the wire now. One last game will determine who advances on to the bracket stage of the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore, as we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, Red Protoss. He is San. And up to the top right-hand corner, Blue Terran. We have MVP.
Derelict Watcher. Very interesting map for Protoss versus Terran. Personally, I struggle quite a lot on this, so I'm hoping maybe I can be taught something here by San. And as much as he likes to go for the Oracle, I really feel like this is one of those maps where if you go for the Oracle, like he's been doing from time to time, it's going to be very hard to deal with this mid-game aggression. Just like in the first game, I thought it was going to be dangerous on Belcher Vestige. I really think that on this map, if he got attacked in the mid-game, there is no way he could hold if he opened with an Oracle. So it's maybe a little bit less likely that he will go for that. Then again, I mean, every time I make a prediction, these guys tend to make it a point to prove me wrong.
Give us it, man. I'm sorry about that. Now, going from game number 1 to game 2 to game 3, we've seen San just committing fully to this Twilight Council to Templar Archives tech pretty rapidly against MVP here. Into game number 3, can MVP adapt in any way, assuming that that would happen and hit some particular timing with Ghosts earlier, for example? Is that a threat here to San? What could happen?
I think if I was MVP here, and I'm definitely not.
Nope, sorry.
I would be thinking, I would be very satisfied with the way the second game went, and I would go for something similar on Derelict Watcher, which is probably an even easier map to deal with what San tried to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just his style. He's so successful with it, and he's played so well in the previous game. If I was MVP here, I'd not only be very confident. Going into this match, I really thought that San was the favorite.
I did as well.
So I'd not only be very confident, but I'd actually be pretty happy that I'm playing on Derelict. But MVP goes for the second gas.
Ooh.
What are we going to see here? Are we going to see a benching? Are we going to see
If we see Banshee, I'll be
something
pretty
crazy?
happy about that. That'd be cool. Banshee's now making that resurgence after
Okay.
hopping out. Where's it gone? Oh, a Reaper.
I already see something. He goes for a Reaper to try and fool his opponent into thinking he's going for the standard expo that everybody goes for. And then from there, if you're a Protoss, you're like, he has a Reaper, he has an expand. I don't need detection for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't need to... I can play greedy. You play greedy, MVP is gonna punish you. Be it with some kind of Widowmine proxy or Hellions, anything like that. This is so intelligent here. As much as I thought I was right with what I said with MVP being satisfied with the previous game and playing another standard game here,
it's a cool
this is so smart.
Yeah.
This is also smart what he's doing here.
Very cool mix-up from MVP, and now how will San react to this is the big question. He's already got his expansion on the way as the Reaper is about to head across the map. Now, what I was going to say was the Reaper in turn would have tried to deny against a Probe Scout if that were to come along, because that would have been very, very important indeed, but there is no Probe Scout to speak of.
And second Reaper, I mean, San doesn't scout very often versus Terran.
Yeah.
He almost never does. Maybe on 4-players maps sometimes he did in the first, in the second game.
But even if the Mothership Core wanted to like get over there for now, like to try and spot something itself, it can't because it has to be tackling these Reapers and denying it.
Yeah, you know, as much as when you see one Reaper, you think there is only going to be an expand and no Widowmines behind it. When you see two, you're damn sure there's not going to be any Widowmines produced anytime soon or reaching your base. And wow, I cannot believe
this is cool. This is
MVP
cool.
is going for this, and this looks so convincing so far. I mean, the Reapers are going to basically bait the units to go back into the main. Where does the Widowmine go? The ramp? The middle line of the expansion? I think the ramp will be very smart.
And the Robo Facility's on the way. That Widowmine now trundles on in. It has been
he's going to try to get into the middle line of the main.
Will they be able to get there? The Stalker needs came back and actually held
Photon
that
of a charge is almost up.
Probes! Oh no, you didn't get it in the end. One probe ends up dying off, but that could have gone a whole lot worse for San if he hadn't have done what he did.
And San actually handled this very, very well because now that Widowmine is away from the mineral line of his opponent, and San can just leave his Stalkers where he has left them. And he still has the Photon of a charge for the expansion. He uses it against the Widowmine.
Oh, he could actually kill that with the 3 probes. Oh,
he gets it.
Nicely done. San has really done so well.
You know, MVP, I think this was a mistake. And why is San leaving a probe above this mine? He actually could just ignore it.
Yeah, he could just not bother. But oh well. He waits for the
he's defended this so well that we are not going to complain or anything.
Yeah, he's like, here, have a free probe.
Yeah, this was really MVP being a little bit too greedy here. He could have just left the Widowmine in the ramp and left Reapers inside of the natural so that no probes could be produced or be mining there. And
brilliant defense by Sam.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Really, really good. It's very impressive.
Well, he's got Observer heading over across the other side of the map now here, and MVP, because of this, his expansion was slightly delayed.
Yeah.
Probe counts 32 to 26. He wanted more with that aggression. So MVP is playing from a slight deficit here.
Yeah. I know I'm starting to sound like a fanboy, by the way, but I really love the follow-up here by MVP. Going for the third command. When something like this hits you as a Protoss, you go into full defensive mode for at least some time. You're on full alert. You know that your opponent tried to trick you. You know that he has a factory somewhere. You know that he went for some Reapers early on. You don't know what's going to follow up. This is not your typical game.
Yeah, of
course. You're thrown out of your comfort zone. So until you can get a scout on him, then you're going to be playing very defensively. And now the scout is going to come as late as basically the third command center being finished, morphing into an orbital command. At which point, this is too late to start and go for something to punish this. So very well done here by MVP.
And for
going
Sam,
for this.
He's going straight to the Twilight Council. So it looks like the standard transitions here from San once again. But how well and how quickly will MVP spot this and react to it in turn? He's throwing down. Oh. No, it's not the normal. He's going for a Dark Shrine, Todd.
And
is this required? Couldn't he just play out his normal?
It's not required, but he got tricked in the previous game, and he's trying to trick MVP now, because this is such an unlikely build that we will see from a Protoss versus a Terran on this map. The problem is he's facing 3 orbital commands. How do you not get outscanned in this situation? Also MVP, he could spot this very easily at this point in the game.
And he gets in and sees the engineering base, so there could be a missile turret going down at the front very quickly here, which would deny a lot of this. But he is getting a Warp Prism, so he's going to actually try and drop these Dark Templars in the back as well.
There is no way it will ever be otherwise at this point. If you have a Robo and you have a Dark Shrine, you should always be dropping those Dark Templars. I don't think that MVP should be able to spot this before it finally reaches his base now, because he already used the scan for one of those observers, and I don't think he's going to be scanning the natural. If he did, it would be
That's a lot
quite
of
mind-blowing that he did. Yeah, I think it's standard to go up to that many gateways. But yeah, here MVP, this is going to hit him. And I think he should have enough scans to defend in his main, get a turret up in his natural, even as a wall there.
Yeah.
So he could even repair if some Dark Templars try to get in there. The problem for him is that right now he's gearing up for a big drop. He's not going to have much back at home to defend against this. He's actually rallied his barracks next to his main command center. Maybe he knows something's up. And he has a scan saved up on his natural. Let's see if he uses a mule or if he saves a scan.
Well, he's stimmed those units away from that location. He's waiting around the missile turret, realizing that those Dark Templars are on the way.
Missile turrets going up in both mineral lines here.
Scan. Kills that one off in the natural. Kills it off in the main as well. Scan, buying time for those missile turrets.
That's such a sick defense here.
Yeah.
Only 5 SCVs have been killed in this game. And the double medivac drops, he's going to hit the main of San now. San really doesn't have much.
That Observer...
His army supply, 29 against 44.
Yeah, that Observer was actually... it was close to the base and it spotted this, but he's actually going to be able to get the cybernetic score, I think, if he's able to focus that down in time. It does end up falling, and he saves the medevac in the end as well.
As close as it gets. The one Dark Templar on the third base here is denying it from landing. Oh, actually, MVP, he messed up a little bit at his natural. He wasn't mining with his SCVs for quite some time. After killing the Dark Templar, he just resumed mining. So he actually lost a lot of money during all this time. Now he's more than 10 walkers behind. San is going to keep up the pressure with these Dark Templars. And because the third orbital command cannot land, by the way, that's one scan less that's available to MVP. He's out of scans now.
Yeah, that's a bit annoying for him here. Does end up killing that pylon off, and he could just scan and kill that in the end, as it does land right next to it, and it's going to have to pick up once again.
The factory was racing with a probe here to try and land before the Nexus could be put down on the third base of San, but it lost the race, and San is gearing up for a huge attack. I'm a little bit surprised by this. I guess he has his War Prism nearby. If he goes for a charge load Archon timing here, he has 1-1 already, and he knows that MVP might be a little bit spread out across the map, so I don't think, as much as I don't think this is going to work, I like the initiative.
Well, I think it works in the sense that it delays the third from actually doing anything, right? He throws the Guardian Shield up, he shouldn't be going up there. That's a well-fortified location.
Until MVP comes down the ramp and smashes this.
Yeah, exactly.
And says kaboom.
Kaboom, baby. This is difficult for San, as he now has to go on home. He's getting Storm again, and MVP is actually committing to the Vikings before he really knows much of anything in terms of tech. But he saw the Archons. He knows Twilight Council's there. He knows Dark Shrine was there. So I'm surprised the Ghost Academy hasn't gone down yet. Oh,
and 4 Zealots about to get dropped into the main here, because San saw those 4 medivacs headed across the map. The 1 Zealot did his job spotting these units, and actually there's enough in the main of MVP. It feels like he's always ready for everything.
Yeah.
You know, in this kind of game, playing at this level, you have to guess what's next, what's coming up next. You shouldn't be scouting for everything to try and react. You need to be guessing as well. And MVP has done such a good job.
He's going to kill the third.
Yes.
Oh my god, there's actually no units there at all to deal with it. He needs to... Does he have a recall or anything? But he can't even recall to that location. He's just way out of position. He's going to lose this third. And MVP has his third command center back at home ready to go.
I cannot believe MVP is playing so well right now. I mean, I know he's good, but this is really mind-blowing how well he's playing. He's guessing everything right, he's making all the right moves. Now he's getting his Ghost Academy. I wouldn't be surprised if he started 2-2 soon as well, getting an Armory and extra eBay.
Chrono boosts, extra gateways.
I think this might be it. San has had enough. He knows he's way too far behind to win in a straight-up game, and he's going to go for some kind of all-in here. And I mean, his only chance here is those Templars getting some great storms off against his opponent. MVP realizes this is what's happening.
Yeah,
he flies away with his third. He's doing everything right.
This is fantastic by MVP so far.
Not a single mistake. Not a single mistake out of MVP.
How well can the Storms go is the question here for San. That's the only way he's going to be able to break MVP right here, right now, as that wall is going to hold strong for quite a while. That's a good spread of the bio units as well, as the Storms really don't get the best connections. That one wasn't too bad though, but there's still too much bio here for MVP. He pushes him away.
Oh, MVP feeling confident enough to move down the ramp. He's forgetting about his medivacs. Nice dodge on the first storm, but I think getting scared this much, I guess that's one storm that hits just right next to his army. He's gonna set him back here for a little bit of time. Getting Ghost and waiting, definitely the better choice here.
2 Archons. Also, 1 Archon being pushed forwards, merges in straight away. But look at this bio army. Once again, a nice spread. The Storms haven't done a huge amount. The Zealots are going to chase this all the way back to the mineral line. San isn't actually doing too bad, but it's still not going to work.
He's definitely going to get chased down now. San overextended this time, and MVP actually a little bit afraid. I think he doesn't know if there are Templars behind this. He could actually chase this down and kill everything. There's not a single storm available. He could just turtle step endlessly, and this is the first misread he's made this game.
You know what's cool, though, for San is that I think he's buying really good amounts of time for him to get his third base back up.
Yeah.
So that is a really awesome
The problem
position
is
for San.
he's not taking to Colossus anytime soon. And now, as soon as there are ghosts, this is going to be a completely different story. Yeah. I mean,
so many.
As many Templars as he has. Look, he's preparing them all around the place, spreading them out, waiting for his opponent to move down. This observer needs to be killed, by the way.
Yeah,
there's one observer just right above this.
Giving him everything he needs in order to like move forward, feedback, move forwards, know where to put the storms. It's perfect to actually know where his opponent's always is.
That's such a high-level PvT we're seeing here. Like, seriously, this is the highest level PvT you can ever see. And look, the observer finally gets killed, and MVP is going to move down, trying to get a snipe on some of these Templars maybe, but San reacts correctly. And MVP, he cannot wait too long here. He was supposed to have his third base taken much earlier than that. Look, he's actually stockpiling mules. He has so much energy on his third orbital command. Now he has 6 ghosts. This is the critical mass that he needs to basically take a fight, like he did in the previous game, I think.
Loaded up some high Templars into the Warp Prism,
really
defending them from the EMPs. Very important, but he has still a few on the ground. But EMPs are going to absolutely obliterate the army if they're able to connect properly.
Oh, the ghosts are going to step in.
Oh.
The Warp Prism.
Has to be careful. Guardian Shield goes up once again, trying to go into some of this bio. He lands a Storm on that bio very nicely. Second follow-up Storm, doing a lot of damage to it. Storm down to the bottom here, and the EMPs, they've landed, but they've not killed off enough of these Zealots and Archons that have powered through. They've tanked the damage, and now San is taking a significant supply advantage here, but he has to move back. That bio's still a bit strong.
Yeah, he's going to get chased down and lose some of these very important Templars. I cannot believe San took such a nice supply lead now. MVP, he's been playing so well, but that fight maybe didn't go as well as it was supposed to here with the Ghost. San prepared such a nice concave and was waiting for MVP to move down the whole time.
Vikings, they don't want to die off either, but there's actually enough offside in the end because the Zealot's going to move forwards once again. No EMPs to back this up, and those Zealots are tanking a lot of damage for those Archons to get right on top of things. Forces the lift up and has to go away. MVP now down 50 supply almost. San has done such a good job of being able to transition on from a sketchy situation in the mid-game.
And this is looking really bad for MVP now. He doesn't have an armory, he's stuck on 1-1 against 2-1. Those Zealots, they're going to keep on streaming in there. There's so many Zealots! So many Zealots
overpowering this location. The force fields tries to trap in some of this against the Zealots as well. San now takes a significant supply advantage. GG! 2-1 for San, advancing on to the bracket. And what a furiously fought game there by the Protoss player.
You know, it's funny. At the start of this game, I said that I wanted to maybe learn something out of San. And he showed me that when everything is not going so well, not necessarily going completely wrong either, like both players, they played a fantastic game.
It was great.
You can make it. You can make things work. At some point, when San was going for the all-in that he went for, and MVP lifted up his command center and pulled back, I really thought that that was it. San was going to all-in. It was not going to work, and he was going to lose. But then he hits some storms good enough to do enough damage to basically lower the supply of his opponents. He prevents him from taking a third, and he does not overextend. As soon as Ghost starts entering the field, every time he doesn't have Storm, he just stays down the ramp because he knows he cannot go up the ramp. And then basically he just waits for MVP to make a misstep by moving down the ramp and having his army spread out enough. The Warp Prism move, probably the winning move as well. He got 2 great Storms off of it. And MVP, as much as I liked the way he played this entire game, I think the moment he moved down his ramp was when he started messing up a little bit. He should have kept his army a little bit more grouped and try and get snipe and EMP on all the Templars, which is what you usually see from the top tiers like Teja and guys like that. They keep their entire army together, they scan around, they send some units around, just 1 Marines here and there to make sure there's no Templars coming in from behind. And if you get the snipes and EMPs that you need to get versus the Templars, and you never get your army stormed, this is not going to be close. There is no other AoE than the Storm. There is no Colossus in this game. So as soon as MVP had the Ghost here, he had his timing in which he could make something happen, and he kind of missed it because his main was getting mined out as well. He had to take a third at any cost.
It was a brilliant game to watch. It was a brilliant game to cast as San advances on. Game number 3, I think that is so far, because it was so back and forth, I think it was like, for me, the best game of the tournament so far at least. But now, guys, we can send it over to the good Paul Red Eye Channeler.
Thanks very much, chaps. Yeah, a fantastic game there. San just absolutely ripping through in that third game, but MVP was fantastic as well. First map loss for San in this group was the only map he lost to MVP. Let's take a look at the brackets. Hopefully we can see those in just a second. We have got another game coming up. It's going to be a ZVZ. Of course, that'll mean Idra will come back and join us. We were watching the game together backstage, and I was kind of waiting there for MVP to pick up something, you know, as a good Terran does. And Greg just turned around and said, no, Sans won this easy. And he was right. He did win this easy. Hopefully now we can show the bracket as to how Group A is going along. Or not. I don't know if we've got the bracket. Not hearing anything in my ear either. So let's move on anyway. Zigua versus Curious will be... They're just teasing me now. See, look, it's come back and then it's away and then it's come back. And it's there again. What do you know? I looked and it stayed. Finally, we can show you the bracket. San winning 2-1 against MVP. So San is actually now through to the playoffs, to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. And in the lower bracket, we've got Zigua versus Curious, China versus Korea, of course. And the winner of that game will then go on to play MVP. You won't miss any of those games. Going to bring you both of those games coming right up. Our next game is ZVZ, which means Idra will return. We'll be back after a quick break.